What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I am very excited to be bringing you a special offering from Rick Hinderer. This is the Hinderer XM18 Gen 6 Vintage Series in textured walnut. This is an awesome knife. If you watched our or my most recent unboxing, this was one of the knives in there. So very excited to be showing this knife today. I've got a bunch to talk about. It's not really going to be a review of the XM18. If you're familiar with my channel, then you know that I have thoroughly reviewed the XM18. I am a huge Hinderer fanboy. I'll just be honest about that. So you're going to see a lot of Hinderer stuff on this channel. But if you're new to this channel, I do laid back knife overviews, lots and lots of different stuff, lots of different brands, different price ranges. I generally just like to talk, give my opinions, and that's pretty much it. So if you enjoy that and you like the idea of 4 to 5 uploads a week, this might be the channel for you. So stick around. Anyways, for tradition's sake, let's go ahead and do the measurements on this guy real quick before we start talking about it. Overall length of 8 1/4 exactly, and your blade comes in at 3.5 inches with a it's not quite a 3 1/4 inch cutting edge. It's like a little over 3 1/8, something like that. But you know how I feel about forward choils. I'd rather have it than not have it. Let's do some size comparisons real quick. First up, again, if you watch the unboxing, this is just for fun and a preview for what's to come. This is the DLT Trading exclusive Medford 187 DP in full titanium and S90V. Pretty cool. That knife coming in at 9 1/4 inches overall. Next up, we have the Ontario Rat number 1 coming in at 8.6 inches overall, so just a little bit longer than the XM18. And just because, again, this is my current EDC, or what I'm choosing to have in my pocket currently, the Inkosi, Chris Reeve Inkosi coming in at about 8.4 inches overall. How about the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 coming in at 8.3 inches overall? And Benchmade Griptilian coming in at, I think, just shy of 8 inches. I always say that. I need to measure the Griptilian so I know exactly what I'm talking about. Just shy of 8 inches. And last but not least, of course, the Spyderco Delica coming in at, I think, about 7 inches overall. So, you know, most people are well aware, you know, the XM18 is very popular. It's been around for a while. Everybody kind of knows, you know, what it looks like. Rick Hinderer is doing this thing where he's coming out with different models. He's doing different things. He's innovating. You know, of course, this is a tri-way model you can see here on the other side. And yeah, I know some of you are like, I do not care about seeing that tri-way logo after seeing this other side, because that's, if you're like me, you're thinking, wow, that's beautiful. And let me tell you, the camera will never do this justice. If you think this looks good, see it in person. It is mind-blowing in person. It is so beautiful. They did such an excellent job with this. We will talk more about that. But Rick Hinderer has, you know, like he's done the half track, the full track. He did the new Bowie. You know, he's got new models, but he's also doing this cool thing where he's taking the XM18 and some of his more traditional models, and he's doing like fun stuff with them. You know, he's doing, he did the battlefield pickup, where it looked like something that was left on a battlefield and unearthed. And, you know, it's kind of similar to this, but he's taking these sort of themes and applying them to mainly the XM18, but I imagine as he continues to expand, this idea will expand to the rest of his line. So, you know, what we have here essentially is an old school take on a knife that is more modern, a more modern tactical folder. So you have textured walnut handles. By the way, this is another one of David's knives. If you are familiar with my channel, you'll know that David is very generous and supplies me with many cool knives to show on the channel. So thank you again, David. Also, something that David pointed out, which is unique, I think, to the knife world completely. David said, "Oh, you got to smell this knife. It smells great." And I thought, you know, I've been collecting knives for a really long time. I've never been asked to smell a knife, nor have I ever thought, would the smell of a knife deter me or attract me more to that knife? Well, let me tell you, as weird as that was, yeah, this knife actually smells really good. That's a bizarre thing to say, and I know, David, if you're watching, I know you're laughing. But you know, you've got this old school a wood scale, and whatever they've done to it, whatever they've used to treat it, mixed with the natural smell of it, yeah, it smells vintage. It's got a really nice smell to it. So if that is something that you take into consideration before you buy a knife, for that reason alone, this knife might be the one for you. Anyways, as far as aesthetics go, it's very beautiful. The wood that they've got here is very natural looking, but very well done. You can see it mimics an XM18 scale just perfectly in fit and all the lines and everything. Of course, the hardware meets up perfectly. I mean, just flawless fit and finish as per usual with the latest batch of Gen 6 stuff from Rick Hinderer, or just everything coming out of Rick Hinderer right now. You have a DLC coated spear point O1 tool steel blade. Real quick, let's talk about O1. I had a hard time figuring out what to say about O1 because there's a lot of conflicting information on it. Here's what I understand. O1 tool steel is an old school high carbon oil hardening steel that can achieve Rockwell hardness of up to 65, which is pretty high if you're familiar with the Rockwell scale. I'm not a professional on any of this, so basically I'm just repeating the most consistent information that I found online. So take everything that I say with a grain of salt. This is not powder metallurgy steel. It will absolutely rust. One of the most consistent things that I found online is it will rust if you do not oil it. So you really do have to make sure that you're properly maintaining it. That's the reason why Rick Hinderer has the black TLC coating on here. It's very appropriate. As far as edge retention and toughness goes, it's very tough. It's extremely tough, as is the case with most tool steels. Your edge retention is going to be, honestly, it's probably going to be mediocre. But on the flip side of that, it's very easy to sharpen. From what I understand, this is one of those knives where you can almost field sharpen it on a brick. I'm not saying go out and do that. I'm saying as far as ease of sharpening the edge, this is up there. A lot of people ask on blade forums, you know, hey, how does this steel compare with 3V? It seems to be compared with 3V a lot. 3V, I think, is around the same area in terms of toughness, but 3V holds an edge a little bit better. 3V is also slightly more corrosion resistant, but it is harder to sharpen. So the main benefit here, the two main benefits with O1, as far as I understand, are incredible toughness and incredible ease of sharpening, which are two properties that make excellent user blades. So as far as whether or not this is a good choice, yes, it also goes along with the overall theme of the knife, which is vintage. O1 steel has been a popular knife for a very, very long time. It's been used for a very long time. So continue. I know you're like, shut up, no one cares. We want to just see about or hear about the backside of this knife. So this finish on the backside is actually his battle green finish, but it has that vintage look about it, you know, and it does actually appear a little more bronzy green in person. You can see there that they've got bronzed finish, or it might actually be flame-treated steel hardware. The reason I think that is because the thumb studs are that way, and I'd imagine you would not want the thumb studs to be titanium, though they might be. But I imagine it is flame-treated steel hardware with a bronze finish. So the standoffs are bronze, the heads of the Chicago screws are bronze, the LBS is bronze. You know, the filler tab and pocket clip screws are bronze. Even the female end of the pivot hardware is bronze, and the lock bar stabilizer screw is bronze. It's awesome. It looks so good, and I love having the thumb studs with that bronze treatment on there. Let me see if I can get the light to capture that. That is so cool, and the contrast with black is good. Now, if somebody asked me, you know, like, hey, you know, what do you think of brown and black on a pocket knife? My initial response to that, and I know some of you are going to like that, my initial response to just thinking that in my head is, ugh, gross, brown and black. But when you have the combination of this chalky black DLC finish with the sort of bronzy green hues of the frame and the bronze on the hardware, the reflective, mixed with the matte brown of the wood scale and those lines, those naturally occurring lines in a wood scale. The end result is just beautiful. And check this out. You get all this old school coolness with the new Gen 6 fall. I mean, this is just amazing. This is the smoothest, most free-falling Gen 6 that I have ever had my hands on. Watch this. That is unreal. Really, really cool. Actually, I want to say, because you know these all come with cards and says who tuned it. Amanda Yoder, you did an excellent job with this knife. All the Gen 6s and the XM18s I've ever had that have come out of the factory have been great, and they've just been consistently getting better. My Gen 6 in full tie has only recently achieved this drop shut action after breaking in, and this one literally came like this from the factory, so that's awesome. Of course, centering is absolutely 100% perfect. Our lockup is at a 35, yeah, it looks to be about 35%, which I'm told is what they aim for. I think it's between 30 and 50% is what they aim for from the factory. That's going to give you secure and fairly early lockup over time. Your logos and things on the blade are white, so that they can be seen, of course, on the black DLC. Also, let me point this out. These 01 tool steel blades have been Parkerized, and I had to look that up. This for, you know, so to save myself from a lengthy explanation that I truly don't understand and have no business trying to explain, it's an acid treatment that is applied to the blade, I think, before the DLC coating is added, and this helps further with corrosion resistance. This is a very low chromium, high carbon steel, so you know it's very vulnerable to corrosion. So these extra steps they took to help with resisting that corrosion are absolutely appropriate for a knife like this. Just really, really cool. You know, also, let me point this out. This is the first time not only on my channel, but this is the first time for me having my hands on the spear point. And the spear point is essentially Rick Hinderer's drop point. You get all that, you know, you get nearly the same thickness as you do, or I'm sorry, tip thickness as you do on the Spanto. You just don't have that sort of compound grind there down at the tip. It's more of a, you know, it's going to be more slicey than the Spanto, but still holding true to the robust nature of Rick Hinderer knives in general. 0.165 stock thickness, and then I think the scales, well, the titanium Loctite's 0.145, and then the combination of the liner and, in this case, the wood scale on the other side are also 0.15 together. Now, these are fully backwards compatible with, you know, let's say you wanted to put a battle green titanium scale on this. I don't even know if that exists, but you could, or any titanium scale or any whatever scale you want. You know, if you want the knife but wood's not your thing, you know, you can do that with this knife. These knives run $475, which honestly, you know, that's a pretty darn good price, because if you look at the rest of Hinderer's line, you know, let's say you want an XM18 in black DLC, you're going to pay, I think, $465, so $10 less, but you get all this cool, all the cool bronze hardware and the battle green finish, and these are serialized, which, by the way, guys, let me point this out. This is not a run of knife that's going to be around forever. The serialization on there tells me, like, hey, we're just making a few of these. At the time of this video, I think GP Knives has some of these left. Now, I imagine they'll do multiple runs of this. They'll probably do a vintage series of some of his other popular models. So if you miss this one, I'm sure you'll get another chance. But just keep that in mind. These are going to be limited. So if you're watching this a year in the future and you're like, hey, they're not available, well, it's because they're limited. So check around. This knife does, of course, come with the usual Hinderer sticker. It comes with the bag, and it comes with the box, and it comes with the tri-way pivot system hardware and all that stuff. It also comes with this little card explaining more of what I said. The vintage series blades are made from 01 carbon steel. The steel will rust without proper care, keep oiled regularly, which, yes, that is true. It's nice that they put that in there. So really, really, really awesome offering. if you are a fan of vintage looking knives, but you've been curious about the XM18, but maybe the color palette and the style, just seems a little bit too modern to you, this is a nice in between. And it's just it's a really, really cool offering that's getting a lot of attention right now. And I think I'm one of the first people to actually show this on YouTube. But I think, if they do a second run of these, they're going to go unbelievably fast. So, if you're a collector, definitely get your hands on one. If you are a user, this is also a great user version of the XM18. And, we haven't really covered the action. The action on all Gen 6 XM18s at this point is just, let's see if I can flip it straight up doing something weird. Yeah. No matter what, you are going to get that knife to flip now on a Hinderer. There's still going to be people saying, oh, boo, you still have to use that proprietary tool on the pit. There's a million ways to do it. Rick Hinderer himself will say, hey, you can get a spanner bit for like $1.65 to take that apart. He's really not trying to lock anybody out of his knives. That's just how the hardware is set up, and it is probably will just continue to do that. I honestly like the way that looks on the pivot. I've grown used to that over the however many XMs I've had now, close to 20. I like how that looks. And for me, I'm very used to disassembling these knives over and over and over again, and I've never had an issue with that. So, I wouldn't let that stop you. Really, what's going to stop people now is just one of two things. It's going to be either you don't like the look of a Hinderer knife, or paying $475 in this case for a pocket knife is just not really something that you're willing to do. And that's perfectly fine. In that case, please just enjoy this video. But for those of you who are interested and who can justify that amount, this is an XM18 that I would very much suggest checking out for yourself. Really, really cool. Didn't talk about this. I don't know that it's super necessary. The knife still weighs 5.25 ounces, and it is, of course, balanced incredibly well. So you don't have issues with, the knife feeling heavier than it is. I don't know that we really need to do this, but we will go ahead and do the paper cut test, just so you can see it is slicing extremely well. Trying to get some waves in there. Sorry, probably looked like it got caught, but I was just trying to get some waves. But yeah, Hinderer knives do slice very well, considering how thick they are. Not going to be the most ultra slicey thing that you've ever experienced, but at 0.165 stock and the grind, that chunky geometry, yeah, it's actually pretty impressive how well they cut. So anyways, I think that's just about it for today, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So please check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, then please subscribe to my channel, because there is definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, and as always, have a great day.